Okay, let's dive right in. You feel that kind of buzz.
Yeah, absolutely. That unmistakable showcase energy.
Exactly. We're tapping into that feeling today,
Mm.
digging into the source material from the recent Xbox Game Showcase,
hmm
and we're really going to drill down into two specific deep dives for, well, some very highly anticipated games.
Right. It's not just about the announcements, is it? It's about understanding the kind of core thinking behind them.
Yeah.
So our mission basically is to unpack those key reveals, pull out maybe the surprising bits, and really get a feel for the philosophies driving things, especially what Obsidian Entertainment is up to.
Right, with two massive sequels.
Two of them, yeah.
Now, the showcase itself, it was huge. Tons of games, partners, studios.
Oh, definitely packed.
But for this deep dive, we're zeroing in. First, that big picture, the Xbox vision they laid out.
And then zooming right into how two specific titles are bringing those ideas and some really unique concepts of their own to life.
So starting with that macro view, Xbox's vision, and then drilling down into Obsidian's take with The Outer Worlds 2 and Grounded 2.
Exactly. From the strategy down to the nitty-gritty of game design, it should be fascinating.
Okay, let's unpack that Xbox ecosystem vision now. The source material really hammers home this core idea. Player first.
Right.
But what does that actually mean in practice,
hmm
based on what they've done and what they showed this time?
Well, they point to their track record, don't they? Things like leading the charge on backward compatibility years ago,
Mm-hmm.
championing cross-play, cross-progression before it was, the standard everywhere.
Right, and Game Pass. Expanding that across console, PC, cloud.
Exactly. All steps aimed at giving players more flexibility, more choice in where and how they play their games.
So this next step, it seems like it's about even more unification,
That's the idea presented, yeah. More freedom, more choice. They explicitly said the goal isn't to lock you into one store or, one device.
which kind of naturally leads to the hardware they showed off.
The Xbox Ally handheld PC.
Yeah, and the key thing there, it runs full Windows.
Exactly. That's the strategic play, I think. It's not a closed box. It means you access your games from, well, everywhere you already own them on PC. Xbox Store, sure, but also Steam, Battle.net, GOG, Ubisoft Connect.
That feels like a pretty significant move. It's not just a Game Pass streaming device, it's a proper portable PC.
Precisely. And they underline that by confirming Hollow Knight, Silksong, hugely anticipated indie game, is on Ally at launch and on Game Pass.
And they said every new game from the showcase will run on it.
Every single one, which ties straight into their whole Xbox Play Anywhere initiative.
Right. Explain that a bit more. How does that fit in?
Well, Play Anywhere is the system that makes your sort of Xbox identity, your library, saves, friends, achievements follow you around.
So console, PC, smart TV via cloud, and now these Windows handhelds like the Ally.
Exactly. Your stuff just roams with you. They mentioned there are already over 1,000 Play Anywhere games and confirmed all the new first-party games from the showcase support it. It makes your gaming life portable, basically.
And Game Pass obviously is the engine driving a lot of that access,
Yeah.
providing that library wherever you are.
Can't really talk about the Xbox ecosystem without mentioning Game Pass,
Yeah.
Ryan. It's central.
Looking ahead, they did tease a bit Xbox's 25th anniversary next year.
Yeah, and drop some big names, new Fable, new Forza, Gears of War, E-Day.
That E-Day reveal looked intense.
It did. And they mentioned the return of a classic franchise, too, building that future lineup.
They also touched on something interesting, expanding game worlds into TV and film.
Right, like the Fallout TV show's success and the upcoming Minecraft movie.
It's not just, hey, look, we made a show. It's strategic, isn't it?
Mm.
Reaching new people.
And driving them back to the games,
Yeah.
creating that feedback loop. It shows they're thinking about the franchise, the world, beyond just the console or PC screen.
Okay, that paints the big picture really well.
Yeah.
Now, let's pivot. Let's drill down into that first Obsidian deep dive, The Outer Worlds 2.
Right, Obsidian's big year. And the source material really framed their focus on sequels. They had that fun quote, something about sequels making a franchise worth remembering.
Yeah, and joking about needing dual SMGs or maybe a Zune 2 to make it count.
Huh. Yeah, that definitely sets the tone. They see sequels as a chance to refine, expand, really nail what makes that world tick.
So Outer Worlds 2, it builds on the first game's themes, right? Corporate
Yeah.
absurdity, robber barons in space.
Absolutely. How power uses narrative to control people. All that's still core.
But they stress this one goes deeper.
Much deeper. They said, more time, more budget helped, obviously. But it let them build what they called a true Obsidian reactive RPG.
Okay, what does true Obsidian reactive RPG mean in this context?
Deeper story, richer lore, more complex RPG interactions, and crucially, reactivity that genuinely reflects player choices in significant ways. It sounds like they're fully realizing the potential they maybe only hinted at in the first game.
You play as an Earth Directorate agent, like a space marshal.
Sort of a space cowboy or sky marshal, yeah, sent to fix things. But crucially, you decide why you joined. Your motivation is player-defined right out of the gate. Classic Obsidian choice.
Which leads perfectly into the character building systems. They spent a good chunk of time on this. Let's start with traits.
Right. Traits make big changes, they said, like brilliant for more skill points, lucky for better crits, and unique world interactions.
They brought back the dumb trait.
Oh, yeah. They specifically called out how much players loved the unique, often hilarious dialogue and interaction options it opened up. Like, just banging on a machine till it works because you can't figure it out.
Amazing. Okay, what about skills?
They've condensed the list from the first game, but made each point you invest more impactful. The idea is your skill choices more clearly define your playstyle: stealth, explosives, talker, whatever.
And perks. They made a big deal about the perk system.
They did. So they borrowed the framework from Fallout, New Vegas, which is high praise, but went even grander, more perks than New Vegas. And the key is the game checks for perks constantly, for dialogue, for environment interaction, for quest solutions, not just combat.
So your build really changes how you experience the world.
Exactly. They mention things like pickpocketing, heavy-handed for melee knockdowns, serial killer where you get permanent health from collecting trophies from kills,
Yeah.
and assassin giving you a movement boost after stealth attacks. Lots of options.
And then flaws are back too.
Yep, flaws, but expanded. They're more personal, often tied to things you do in the game. Still that risk-reward, take a penalty for a perk point or some bonus.
The examples they gave were kind of wild.
Weren't they? Bad knees. Move faster, but your knees pop loudly when you stand up. Hilarious.
Kleptomaniac sounded dangerous, automatically stealing things you look at.
Right. But you sell stolen stuff for more. High risk.
Yeah.
And Sungazer giving everyone cataracts, basically making the game unplayable. That must be an inside joke, surely.
Or a serious challenge run. And over-prepared bigger mags, but a penalty if you empty them.
It shows they're not just stat tweaks. They add personality, create unexpected moments. It's core to building your character's identity.
And all this supports different builds, right? Like
Yeah.
the mad scientist.
Yeah, using gadgets and weird science gear. Or even the psychopath build they mentioned, getting health by, well, murdering friends.
Oh.
So, yeah, lots of role-playing depth.
They gave a specific quest example to illustrate the choice philosophy, didn't they? The bridge area.
They did. Showed how one single early game problem could be tackled multiple ways based on your build and approach.
Like talking your way through.
Or fighting.
Sneaking past.
Using gadgets like a shield for gas or double jump boots to cross a gap.
Or even sacrificing a companion. Yikes.
Yeah, dark choice. But it proves the point. The game gives you a problem, and the systems are built to let you figure out the solution your way.
Okay, let's talk setting. Arcadia. New colony.
Right. The theme seems to be freedom versus security. How much liberty will people trade for safety and luxury under the authoritarian protectorate regime?
And Arcadia is where the skip drives come from. The FTL tech.
Exactly. But those drives are causing rifts in space-time. Dangerous stuff. Cutting off colonies, even Earth. That's the central crisis.
And the factions are built around that crisis. Protectorate wants to close the rifts.
Because it threatens their power and wealth, yeah. Then there's the Order of the Ascendant, a science religion. They want the rifts closed because it messes with their universal equation.
And Auntie's Choice. The corporate merger we all expected.
Huh. Auntie Cleo and Spacer's Choice, together at last. They just want to control the rifts to dominate trade, liberate resources for humanity at a profit. Classic Outer Worlds.
Each faction has its own absurd flavor. The example of Auntie's Choice invading a town.
Fairfield, yeah. Rebranding everything with corporate propaganda, anti and Moon Man holograms everywhere. It creates this visual clash like World War I in space, as they put it.
And the reactive radio system sounds really cool. Like New Vegas radio?
Very much so. 3 stations, 1 per faction, each with its own music. But the key is they react to your actions.
So different stations spin events differently.
Exactly. Protectorate Radio might call you a hero, while Auntie's Choice paints you as a villain. It feeds right into those themes of narrative control and propaganda. Super smart.
Companions are back too. 6 of them.
6, yeah. And apparently much more integrated and reactive this time. Tied to factions with arcs you influence.
They named a few. Niles, the ED agent with the drone. Marisol, the assassin mathematician.
Right. Azza, the Rift cultist. Tristan, the Protectorate Arbiter. And they stress that how you treat them matters. Consequences down the line. Again, that reactivity focus.
What about general gameplay improvements? Mobility got a boost.
Big time. Run, slide, double jump, mantle, parkour. It's not just for getting around faster. It's to encourage exploring the larger environments, finding different routes, approaching situations creatively.
In combat, they focus on the feel.
Yeah, improving ADS snap, recoil, sound design, reload animations, just making the gunplay more satisfying, plus more weapon variety.
The unique weapons sounded appropriately bizarre.
Oh, absolutely. The Boris blaster fires tumor grenades or food. The rookie's reward gun levels up with a fanfare. The pop-up gun deploys ad drones.
Add drones, perfect.
Science grenades that levitate enemies. Just pure Obsidian weirdness.
And the science weapons. Shrink ray is back.
And upgraded, enemies stay shrunk now, and you can step on them. Bill fantasy fulfilled, apparently.
Oh. What else?
New ones like the Armageddon, a mass with arms, the Spectrum Dance Saber musical melee, the Big Bang gun using rift energy, and Gary Science armor that lashes out. Just wild stuff.
And a big change.
Yeah.
Third-person camera option.
Yeah, alongside first person. Lets you see your character, your gear, caters to different RPG player preferences. A welcome addition for many, I think.
So wrapping up Outer Worlds 2, it sounds massive. Obsidian's biggest game yet.
That's the takeaway. More choice, more reactivity, more weapons, bigger world. Looks like the sequel that fully delivers on the promise of the first one.
Okay, from the vastness of corporate space, let's shrink down, way down, to about Grounded 2.
Right. Obsidian's other big sequel. And the source material really celebrated the first game's journey, didn't it? From small passion project to, what was it, 25 million players.
Yeah, huge numbers, all drawn into that unique idea. Surviving in a backyard when you're ant-sized.
Such a cool concept. And for the sequel, they've partnered with Eidos Montreal.
Right. To help dream bigger, was the phrase.
Exactly. And they stress the shared DNA narrative, characters, gameplay systems, choice consequence, community focus, respecting the IP. Seems like a good fit.
So the setup for Grounded 2.
Takes place 2 years later. Same 14s, but older, more mature now, bringing that experience with them.
And the new setting is in the backyard. It's a community park.
Brook Hollow Community Park. And the scale increase sounds immense. 3 times the size of the original backyard. The starting area is apparently the size of the entire first game's map.
Wow, so lots more room for exploration and secrets.
Definitely. More stories, more mysteries tucked away in the park.
And the world design still uses that mundane objects become colossal wonders idea.
Oh yeah. But the park setting offers new twists. It was evacuated quickly, so it's left topsy-turvy. Creates environmental storytelling and unique biomes from, like, human mess.
They give some great examples. The ice cream cart biome.
Yeah. Spilled ice cream, creating a frozen cave of colorful Lovecraftian horror. Fantastic imagery.
And the buried toxic waste area.
Creating spooky underground chemical pools where only cockroaches thrive. It just sounds so imaginative, taking everyday stuff and making it alien and dangerous.
Okay, what about combat? They mentioned improvements there, too.
Yeah, adding more strategic depth, a sort of rock, paper, scissors system with light attacks, heavy attacks, and blocking. Plus, dashing for movement.
And the insects use these abilities, too.
That's the key. Makes it a frenetic chess match, they said. You're not just whacking bugs, you're dueling opponents who block, charge, heavy attacks, dash. It sounds much more dynamic.
Does this lead to clearer player roles?
Seems so. With new active mutations supporting archetypes, you can really lean into being a tank, a high-damage rogue, an effect-wielding mage type, or a ranged hunter.
And they mentioned potential for game-breaking builds. Communities love finding those.
Right. They gave a rogue example. Dual daggers, specific mutations armor, backstab opener, repositioning. They sounded genuinely excited to see what crazy combos players cook up.
I also acknowledged the different player types, right? Builders, crafter.
And harvesters. Their term for the insect murderers gathering materials for friends. They made a point that gear is easy to understand, especially for co-op play.
And the big community request. Mounts or buggies.
Buggies, yeah. Huge addition. Not just for travel either. They have moves and abilities across exploration, combat, crafting, building, each type with its own personality.
They detailed 2 for the game preview launch.
The Red Ant Soldier Buggy, utility focused. Can even enlist worker ants to help fight or gather stuff.
Cool. And the other?
The Orb Weaver Buggy, more combat oriented. Faster, hits harder, has special moves like a stun scream and webbing, less utility, more aggression. Adds a whole new dimension to getting around and fighting.
And they're going back to game preview for development.
Yep. Building it with the community again. They really value that feedback loop for shaping design.
They learned from the first game preview, didn't they?
They did. Mentioned players burn through content really fast in Grounded 1. So Grounded 2 starts with a much bigger baseline of story and content right away.
And they're planning to keep that community interaction going strong.
Absolutely. Leaning into players, finding clues, forming theories, using that to inspire development. Commitment to openness. Bigger updates based on feedback, new buggies, biomes, building parts. Public roadmap plan too.
Sounds like they're really doubling down on what made the first one special, but making it much, much bigger.
Both Obsidian and Eidos seemed really pumped about shrinking players down again and letting them loose in this huge new park, especially with the buggies changing everything.
Okay, let's bring this deep dive to a close then. We've gone from that high-level Xbox Vision player first, unifying the ecosystem right down into the weeds, with Obsidian's ambitious plans for the Outer Worlds 2 and Grounded 2.
Yeah, quite the journey. And the key takeaways feel pretty clear, right? Both sequels are aiming way bigger. Bigger worlds, deeper systems, more meaningful player choice, shaping the whole experience.
And enhanced gameplay, leveraging partnerships, and really listening to their communities.
Exactly. Building on those strong foundations, but taking them much further.
So for you, the listener, this gives a real insight into some major trends. Portable PC gaming becoming more mainstream, that push for player freedom across platforms, and how experienced studios like Obsidian tackle sequels not just as iterations, but as chances to fully realize a vision, sometimes with help from partners like Eidos. It points towards some really exciting reactive experiences coming down the pipe.
It really does. Which leads us to a final thought for you to chew on, kind of building on these themes. In worlds like the Outer Worlds, where powerful corporations or factions literally shape reality through the stories they tell and the resources they control, or even in Grounded's tiny world where your survival depends on understanding systems set by forces way bigger than you. How much of the reality you perceive right here, right now, is shaped by the narratives you're told by the big players in our world? And how much real agency do you have to write your own story within those larger narratives? Something to think about.